Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Before I jump into anything, I just want to ask you guys to hit the like button and leave a subscribe on this channel. It would help me out a lot and I'd really appreciate it. But aside from that, let's jump into this thing. Today I want to talk about Draymond Green and Isiah Thomas. So 2 days ago, Isiah Thomas went on Draymond Green's podcast, and I'm really grateful this podcast exists. He's able to get exclusives with legends and current NBA players, and it makes for good conversation. But this particular episode was very interesting. Him and Draymond Green, Isiah and Draymond Green, got to talking about the Warriors' legacy, and there were two things that he really talked about that I want to talk about today. The first is the Golden State Warriors' legacy, and then the second is Steph Curry's legacy when it comes to the point guard talk. So first, let's jump into the Golden State Warriors' legacy. Basically, he said that Kevin Durant saved the Golden State Warriors' legacy. Here, take a look.
Before Kevin Durant arrived in Golden State, y'all were on the verge of being remembered as the team that went 73-9 and lost to a Cleveland Cavalier team in the finals. You up 3-1, and probably one of the biggest collapse in NBA Finals history. Kevin Durant comes that summer and really saves y'all basketball legacy. You win 2 championships after that. The Golden State Warriors dynasty that you're going to go into the Hall of Fame on and everything else, it is cemented, because if Durant don't come that summer and you guys are remembered as the 73-9 team, all of your legacies are different.
He said Kevin Durant was the one that saved the Golden State Warriors' legacy. And the narrative, right, the whole thing about Kevin Durant being a snake, right, when he went to the Golden State Warriors after losing to the Golden State Warriors when he was up 3-1 on them, we, the fan and everybody, saw this. We assumed, okay, Kevin Durant went to Golden State to do what he couldn't do by himself. They are the ones that saved him, right? But Isiah Thomas says that's not the case. Isiah Thomas, as you guys heard, he said the Golden State Warriors had the best regular season ever, 73-9, and they lose to the Cavs in the finals. And from there on, they don't know what to do. And in order to save their legacy, they went out and got Kevin Durant. I'm gonna disagree with Isiah Thomas. I still think that the Golden State Warriors are the ones that saved Kevin Durant's legacy, or at the very least, they needed each other both. But there is no way in where I see it as KD reached down and grabbed the Golden State Warriors from the jaws of death and saved them. I don't think that's the case. I don't see it that way. And the reason I don't see it that way is because of this. Isiah Thomas assumes, and many of the people that have this same viewpoint of KD saved the Golden State Warriors, they have this assumption. They base it on this one presumption. They assume that the Golden State Warriors, after winning 73 games and losing 9 games, were somehow the next season were just gonna fall off. And I hear Skip Bayless say this, talking heads on TV from a sports analyst. They say this: well, KD saved you. You had to go call Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green was in a car in a parking lot and he was crying, and he had to fly all the way to the Hamptons to go talk to Kevin Durant so he can save them, right? They assume that this once in a lifetime team, 73-9 team, was just gonna randomly fall off a cliff. And it makes no sense to me, right? What do you mean he saved their legacy? What do you assume they were just never gonna win again? Like, I assume LeBron James is an insurmountable thing to get over to win a championship. But you have to remember, after that 73-9 win, most of the guys from that team were still there. They still had Klay Thompson. This is pre-injury to Klay Thompson. They still had Draymond Green. Draymond Green at his prime. They still had an MVP, two-time unanimous MVP in Steph Curry. They still had Sean Livingston. They still had everything they needed as a coach. They still had their coach, Steve Kerr. They had everything they needed to get back to that same spot that they were last year, which is the finals, right? But everybody makes this assumption that the Warriors were just gonna randomly fall off and never make it to the finals ever again, and that's why Kevin Durant saved them. Like, for example, if I told you the Denver Nuggets last year that swept the Lakers, right? They only lost a few games last year. They only lost 1 game to the Heat. Then they lost 2 games to the Suns, and they lost 1 game to the Timberwolves. Imagine if I told you a team as good as that, with all the guys, the starting 5 that made that team what it was, they were gonna come back next year. But somehow, some way, their odds of making the playoffs or making the finals and winning the championship were now null. We're now just in the gutter, and it's just never gonna happen. Would you believe me? That sounds absurd, right? Like, in fact, this year, the Denver Nuggets are the favorites for the NBA championship again. So it's the same thing that I think back to 2016. You're telling me this team that broke the all-time win record for the regular season is somehow just not going to be able to compete for a title in the next following years? Like, I mean, this is 2016. They still had guys in their prime. Guys in their 20s. Their late 20s still. They had a lot in the tank. So it doesn't make any sense. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think Kevin Durant came and saved the Warriors' legacy, as Isiah Thomas says, because that would assume that they were going to be nothing without him. I think the Golden State Warriors would have been okay without Steph Curry. I think at the very least they would have won 1 more title without Kevin Durant, right? And even if they didn't get Kevin Durant, there were still a lot of guys out there in free agency, right? Like, you have to remember, this is around a time where Paul George was still on the market, right? There were still other guys on the market aside from Kevin Durant. They could have went and got somebody like a Paul George. They could have went and got someone else, right? They could have pursued Kawhi Leonard. They could have pursued anyone, not even a star, just another piece to add, someone that they could use to guard LeBron James, right? And I still think they would have been able to contend with the Cavs. But everybody just assumes, oh, after the Cavs beat them from 3-1, there was just no way they were going to ever beat the Cavs ever again. That's just not the case. I don't buy it. And so because of that, I don't think that Kevin Durant saved the Warriors. I think at the very least, they both needed each other, right? Because let's see what the Warriors have done for Kevin Durant's legacy. He's only won with them. Those only 2 he could retire today, and he's an NBA 2-time NBA champion. That's because of the Golden State Warriors. He hasn't gotten that anywhere else he's gone. He's played with multiple stars. Another super team after the Golden State Warriors, and he hasn't gotten it done. So you have to really thank, the Golden State Warriors for that. And then let's look what the Golden State Warriors have accomplished without him. They've won one more championship without him. Steph Curry has cemented his legacy, and he has won a finals MVP without Kevin Durant, right? So that's my take on that. And then the second thing that Isiah Thomas talked about was Stephen Curry's legacy as the greatest point guard ever. Isiah Thomas basically said that Stephen Curry cannot be the greatest point guard ever because the way he plays the game is so much different than what Isiah Thomas and Magic Johnson, what they were used to. Here's a clip of him.
When you define the position of point guard, this is an era where they say we are positionless. But then you want to say, okay, well, he's a point guard. He's not a point guard. And the Golden State Warriors, you are the point guard. You have more assists than Steph. You bring the ball up. You initiate the offense. You set the defense. You run the show. Steph comes off screens, he catches, and he shoots. And he's one of the greatest shooters ever. I won a different way. As a point guard, I led my team, and I may be the only one who's done this as a point guard, where I've led my team in scoring and assists to back-to-back championships.
There you go. And I, again, have to disagree with him there, right? He says that Stephen Curry cannot be the greatest point guard of all time because he plays the game so different from him and Magic Johnson. And he shoots it more. And Isiah Thomas and Magic Johnson, they set up the offense. They set up assists more, or they worried about assists more than points. I think Steph Curry is just better than them. I think Steph Curry is able to do something they weren't able to do. Score at an extremely high level and still be the the focal point, the engine for the offense. He said Draymond Green is the one that facilitates, but I think it's Stephen Curry as well. I think Stephen Curry's ability to move around when the ball's not in his hand, to assist, his ball handling, ability to get to the rack, he does everything perfectly. To me, you can ask for a better point guard than Stephen Curry, right? Right now, you have someone that played the game the way that Isiah Thomas wanted point guards to play the game, playing with Steph Curry, and that's Chris Paul. And you look at them. Chris Paul has a lot of assists, 9 assists a game, and throughout his whole career, he's been known to facilitate offense. His impact just isn't the same as Stephen Curry's. Even when the ball's not in his hand, Steph Curry's making something happen, right? He's setting a screen, he's moving around, he's making his guy run around. He's able to get the assist. He can get assists just as much as Chris Paul. He can score just as much as Klay Thompson. It's like the perfect package all put into one. To me, I don't buy it. I don't buy that Steph Curry can't be the greatest point guard of all time because he solely doesn't just pass the ball or facilitate. I think he does that, and then he does the scoring as well. That engine that is Golden State only goes when Steph Curry goes. And you can see it during games too. When Steph Curry gets going, he'll hit Klay for the pass. He'll get Draymond on a pick and roll and he'll feed him the ball down low. He'll run a pick and roll with Steph Curry while he's the one, moving around. He just does it all. And I think it's an evolution of the point guard that has separated him from the likes of Isiah Thomas and Magic Johnson. And so those two things, I completely disagree with Isiah Thomas. Those are just my thoughts on Isiah Thomas and his viewpoints on the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry. If you found this very interesting and you like this kind of content, guys, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Isiah Thomas is out of his mind? Do you think his viewpoints are valid? I want to know. I want to start this discussion. Let me know in the comments below. And aside from that, thank you for watching.